Govan, good morning to you. So, what is at the heart of Trevor Manuel's argument here? What is he suing for?
Well, at the heart of the argument, Oli, is the EFF statement issued just a few hours after the appointment of the SARS Commissioner, Edward Kiswete, was announced. And in that statement, the EFF went on to say that the Commissioner was appointed through secret meetings and a corrupt process, and he's a close business associate of former Finance Minister Trevor Manuel, and basically saying that there was a form of nepotism in the entire process. Trevor Manuel believes that these statements are defamatory, and he's approaching the court today to have it declared as such, but he's gone beyond that. Oli, he's asking the court to issue the EFF with punitive costs of 500,000 rand, and he says that if he gets that money from the EFF, he'll donate it to a worthy cause. So at this point, we know that the EFF has said that at the time when they released that statement, they had relied on information which wasn't totally correct, but if we go through the court papers today, it does seem as if the case by Trevor Manuel is solid, and the EFF would have to explain why they released that statement and why they're now opposing Trevor Manuel's request that the statement be officially withdrawn in its entirety and they be ordered to apologize. So that's the gist of the case, and we're expecting to hear arguments from around 10 o'clock.
Govan, also linked to this case is not just the reputations of Trevor Manuel and Edward Kiswete, but also at the heart of it is the reputation of SARS. We heard the former president, for example, Thabo Mbeki, saying that if you impugn the integrity of that institution, you essentially are putting at risk the entire government because it collects revenue for government.
Indeed, and Trevor Manuel has actually included an excerpt from that comment by the former president Thabo Mbeki in his court papers. The former president Thabo Mbeki went on to say that any allegations of such nepotism or wrongdoing in the process of appointing the SARS Commissioner needs to be investigated, and the veracity of that needs to be determined, and corrective measures need to be pursued if those statements were found to be false. And Trevor Manuel goes on to say that that is exactly what he's doing, not only to clear his name and repair some of the damage to his reputation, which he describes as immense, but also to protect the integrity and credibility of the process that led to the appointment of Edward Kiswete as the SARS Commissioner. Of course, these arguments are bound to be ventilated in court, and even though the EFF has shifted the goalposts slightly, talking more about the process to appoint the SARS Commissioner and whether or not that shouldn't have happened in Parliament and in public, in full view of most South Africans, Trevor Manuel says this case is certainly not about that. He wants to zoom in on his claims that he's been defamed, and says that the court should also grant him an interdict against the EFF, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi as spokesperson and Julius Malema as leader of the EFF, to prevent them from making similar statements in the future. But only we know that after that statement was released, the EFF did change its tune slightly. At one of its press conferences, it started to describe Edward Kiswete and Trevor Manuel as friends, and no longer uses the language of business associates and secret interviews and corrupt meetings, which it used to describe the process in that statement. So it does seem as if the EFF has changed its tune a bit, but according to its court papers, it's not willing to retract the statement in which it criticizes the appointment of Kiswete and calls for it to be restarted.
All right, Govan Whittles live for us in court ahead of that court case that is being pursued by former Finance Minister Trevor Manuel.